Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. We're excited today.
Morning.
It's
Good
always
morning.
fun. We've got the whole team here today. Pamela, our producer, Chef in the Chapeau, Chef Terry Rotaro,
I am here.
and Sean over on the technological side is bringing up the rear. So we're coming to you from the beautiful Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle, a gorgeous place. If you ever want to find us, just go right in to the front of the hotel and go up the stairs to the second floor, and we are back here in the hot stove cooking school. You can hear us on Cairo on Saturdays and Sundays, or pick us up on our podcast and listen to whenever you choose. Somebody was telling me that it's a Saturday morning ritual for them. They listen to last week's show on Saturday morning because it doesn't really get posted on the podcast until later in the day, and so that they listen every Saturday, but a week later. Or you could go down and come down here and stay at the hotel and kind of hang out.
Which is what I would recommend, because it makes for a much better day.
It's super fun. And then have breakfast at Lola, which I did this morning. I'm not sure about this working out thing because I work out, and every time I work out, I get really hungry. And so then I go have a breakfast either at the Bay Cafe over there at Fisherman's Terminal, so they work out a few blocks from there, or
you have the fried fish.
No, I always have the same thing there. I have the spinach and mushroom omelet with Swiss.
Oh, that sounds good.
No toast, no hash browns, just the omelet.
Cut out the cheese, and then you'll have less calories.
I don't want to cut out the cheese.
I'm the same way.
We have a large show for you today. Peak of the season. We're jumping in the peaches. Jackie was picking peaches at our farm yesterday. He's bringing them over, or today, this morning, and bringing them over tomorrow. Marcus Lalario, I think that's right, visits us to tell us about Seafood Month at Little Woody's. Demystifying some wine lingo. Pamela's husband, Michael Tier, is going to be here from Pike and Western Wine Shop. And what are we demystifying?
Well, he's really worked up about this new attention to natural wines when most excellent wine is natural.
It's natural already.
So we're going to hear
because wine naturally has sulfites, right? And that's
Yeah.
what people are most concerned about, or pesticides?
I think there's a range of concerns, but we'll hear more.
We'll hear more. A giggle from Jacques Pepin Foundation, courtesy of our ex-producer, Madeline Pennington. Burrata versus Mozzarella. I can't believe how many of my kind of older friends are in love with burrata.
I know. They think it's so sexy.
I know. I don't get it. I mean, it's perfectly delicious, but
You don't get it?
it tastes like milk.
It is milk.
Cream. I know it is milk, but I just think it's
Sexy
a little
cream.
bit.
I love this. It tastes like milk because it
tasty.
is.
It's just a little bit overrated, I think. So we'll have that discussion later in the show. And lastly, of course, we're going to play our Rub with Love Tasty Trivia Challenge in celebration of Julia Child's birthday. Our guest contributor, Becky Guzack, wrote some special questions.
She going to be 150 yet?
No.
Close, no?
No.
104, 105?
No.
1912.
Yeah. So 110. 110.
Wow.
Rub with Love Trivia is brought to you by, of course, our specialty spice rubs made right there in Ballard. Let's talk taste of the week. Want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
You go.
Well, I was working on a charcoal grilled chicken for our dock out there in Ballard because I want to add that to the mix out there on Saturdays and Sundays for Serious Pie Ballard. And so last week I had was at Wajimaya, so I bought a few chickens. I forgot. I didn't forget. When I picked them up, I realized all they had were like 4 to 5 pound chickens. These birds were huge.
Takes 2 hours to cook on the grill.
Oh,
Be
my
careful.
goodness. I didn't mind the length of time to cook because my intention is to go low and slow over the charcoal grill. But my intention is also to use the Serious Pie, the new pizza spice that we have in our spice rub line. Hey, I was playing, but I ended up with, 10 pounds of chicken. So,
and it's not just you were cooking only the thighs?
No,
Or just
the whole birds.
Oh, the whole bird.
The whole birds. And so, anyway, I had all this leftover chicken. We've talked about that on this radio show before about what to do with like a rotisserie leftover
Well, the first
chicken.
thing I think of right now is a beautiful cold chicken salad for the summertime.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't do that. I picked the chicken.
That's what I would do, Tom.
It was all smoky and delicious. I wrapped it in fresh corn tortillas, put it into a casserole, and poured canned enchilada sauce that I bought. I bought 3 kinds of enchilada sauce from this grocery store. They were delicious. All 3 were delicious. Who knew?
The food scientists know. That's why those companies have them is because they make deliciousness for those big
Wow,
products.
Well, not everything in the can is delicious. I'll tell you that right now. Try some peas or beans.
Right.
Anyway, I just poured them all in, but I didn't. It was super hot last week. I didn't want to heat the house, so I roasted them on my charcoal grill. I just put the whole casserole on the charcoal grill and put the lid down and just kind of baked them on the grill, so they pick up a little bit more smoke than what the chicken already had on it. Jackie made a beautiful tomatillo salsa for the top of the red sauce enchiladas.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, it was a delight. And so last night, when everyone left me alone for my birthday at my choosing, I had leftover at my choosing. I said, "Look at Pamela's like
I'm irate.
Wait, it was your birthday. I thought you were the 8th. What happened to that?
That's my mother."
Oh, I got you on my calendar under your
We'll talk about my mom later. My mom passed this week, so we're going back to Delaware to celebrate her life. Anyway, alone on my birthday with a bottle of Barolo and
Sounds pretty good.
leftover enchiladas. It was delightful.
You know what I like about this? Peace and quiet.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but sometimes peace and quiet is,
There you
especially
go.
in our life.
Your run here.
I
Chef.
was fortunate enough to do a quick trip to Hawaii this last week and go see one of my favorite Jack Johnson concerts at the Shell, which was quite fabulous. But more importantly, went to eat a omakase sushi dinner at a place called Moriyama in Honolulu. And a friend of mine lives in Hawaii, so she's the one who recommended that, Malie. And we went there, and it was very untraditional in terms of it was very, it's an open kitchen kind of idea. And when I mean open kitchen, I mean like from the dish, like from here, from the back of the wall, you see the dishwasher and the shelf with all the pots and pans. It was very untraditional in terms of look, but more importantly, the food, nothing was really like, in terms of size, it was not like this precious little thing. It was much more like the size of what it is. Like if you get the unagi, you get a big, like a double fillet kind of idea. So it's a 2-biter, not a 1-biter. They didn't care about that, but the flavors were absolutely outstanding. And I want to recommend for people like sushi to take a trip there because it's I think it's worth a trip. And beautiful sake, nice collection of sake. It was very, very delicious. And we had many, many courses and everything was just scrumptious. But very untraditional, which is the part I really...
What made it untraditional?
It would be like if Tom Douglas meets Nobu.
Well,
imagine that.
Part of the untraditional is, like you said, it's a double fillet of eel, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is typically on a nigiri, right?
You don't do 2-biters.
It's one bite.
Yeah.
It's one bite.
And he had plenty of 2-biters. And just that is already like untraditional. And I just thought, but the flavors, very creative also, not super traditional in many of the flavors. So I would recommend it. By the way, it's not cheap.
I wonder how traditional Japanese would feel about it. Because if you...
Well, you have to be just like you or just like I am. You have to be adventurous.
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
You can't go there expecting what you know from home. It's always the same thing when you travel.
All right, up next, it's time for peaches. It's the peak of the season, peach time. I always think about August 1st being that special peach area, nectarines. So let's and oddly, it's the way it is this year. August 1st, August 2nd. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Welcome.
There's three of us clapping. We changed the date of the show.
I know Marcus had to change too because he was so generous to come on Friday, but you guys, he was able to
welcome and thank you. I'm Terry. Marcus and
I'm going to do a little bit about my mom.
Yeah, please.
Segment. Okay.
Please.
And then we'll go right into peaches.
Oh, here. Code 1225. 1225.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo. It's Chef Tom Douglas.
And Terry Rotiro, the chef in a hat.
And we're going to spend a little bit of time on peaches. But first, I wanted to say, when I think about peaches, I often think about my mother because she always had, like on special occasions, spiced peaches. And when I think about peaches,
what is spiced peaches?
Let me tell you. She it wasn't like we put them up ourselves, but she would take canned peaches and then kind of make a spice syrup and put the peaches in the spice syrup, and it would go with ham or turkey as a garnish around the outside of the big roast.
So the peach would be really sweet, and the spice would be around
she
it.
would use the cling peaches. You can buy them by the 10-pack at Costco or whatever. That was just her thing, and she grew up on those, and that's what a taste and a texture that she loved. My mom passed this week. Super sad about that.
Very sorry, Tom.
She's the one who taught me. I wouldn't say she taught me how to cook, but she inspired me. Like her mother inspired me to cook. She cooked for 8 kids, and of course her husband, 3 meals a day every day, and that was certainly influential on my life. And like you, we always hear on the show about when you go back home to visit your mom, what dish you want her to make for you right away, because you have those memories. For me, in the beginning, when I first moved away from Delaware, which is now 45 years ago, holy smokes, I would go back and have her meatloaf or whatever I can't remember all the. Pot roast was always one. You like pot de fou, I had pot roast. Those kind of cool things that moms make, and watching her kind of progress over the years from canned to frozen vegetables to fresh vegetables, insisting on fresh vegetables. They always had a little bit of a garden on the side yard, and I mean a little bit of a garden. So anyway, it was been some nice memories this week to think about her. I was telling Pamela earlier, she was witty right up, not witty, yes, but also cognizant right up to the end. So many times our seniors, they are living longer now, and they end up getting, no memory when they die or whatever.
Right.
Not her, man. She was on it. Her body failed, but her mind was sharp as a tack. And I was telling Pamela, we always make fun of my mother because she's lived by herself for 15 years. My dad died 15 years ago, but before that, they were by themselves. But she has 2 huge chest freezers in the basement, another fridge in the basement, a fridge in the garage, and a fridge in the kitchen, because she's never been able to lose the fact that she's not cooking for 10 people at every meal.
And it's funny because when I heard about your mom passing away, you won't believe this, but that's one of the first thing that came to my mind was you talking about that freezer. And the first thing that I had this image in my head, then you're going to go back home, and the first thing you're going to do is empty that freezer.
Oh, my sister's already been there. She's taking an inventory because my mom wanted kind of a traditional Irish wake for her celebration of life. And so I have my sister inventory the freezer, and there's turkeys and chicken thighs and steaks, and she only got to the top layer. These are chest freezers.
Anything from 1980?
I literally, about 20 years ago, my mother's a short woman, and I pulled everything out of the freezer and put empty milk crates in the bottom. So, because she couldn't reach to the bottom. And of course, I found things in there that were 40 years old. And so now it's only half.
That's a brilliant solution.
Half as full as it was.
Maybe you should.
But anyway, so here's I want to get to this before we get to peaches. So on my mom's deathbed on Monday morning, my sister, who's been a saint, been taking care of her. My mom knows she's going to die, but she's also very cognizant. So she goes through and she says to my sister's side, I just want you to know there's a whole turkey in the freezer, and there's chicken. This is an hour before she passed.
Oh my God.
There's chicken thighs in the freezer. I want you to use those up. And remember the brawn panties we bought this weekend at Kohl's that we got 2 for $1? You should take those back because we're not going to need those. This is an hour before she died.
This is such a mom thing to do.
Well, is it?
Oh
my God.
Yes, a mom thing.
An hour before you die?
Oh, that's
taking care of
it. Never goes away.
She was a very frugal woman, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
And which is why she ended up living on her own in her own house with plenty of money in the bank. And my dad never made more than $36,000 in a year. So
rest in peace, adorable woman.
Good woman. All right, peaches. Now that peaches.
Put them in the freezer. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah. One of the nice things about having siblings, we only had one kid, Loretta, but the go around has been really good with pictures and all that sort of thing. The go around has been super fun with some old shots of my mom. She was a peach, by golly. You made your first pavlova, Pamela.
Yes, to celebrate peaches, and I was inspired by Bridget's treatment of egg whites at a Macaron class last week. So I got out the blender and got fluffiness, and they turned out perfect because Met Market's got Peachorama happening.
I was going to mention that.
Of course you were. And there's just nothing quite as delicate and lovely as a fresh peach. I didn't sugar it or anything on a undersweetened pavlova, and
no, if you have the perfect peach, there is no need to add
do
anything
at all.
What do you mean on an undersweetened pavlova?
Well, I mean the interesting thing was I didn't have cream of tartar, and it said you could substitute apple cider vinegar.
Right.
And I don't know if it was my imagination, but it just didn't.
Well, it cuts down. It cuts down on the sweetness because of the acid of the vinegar. It's much more sour than tartar, so that's why.
That's what I
mean, and same with lemon juice.
Because I used a full amount of sugar. I imagine you have
put lemon juice in there too, right?
You
have any lemon juice?
It said or.
Oh, because I put lemon juice, and that does the same thing. It cuts down on the heavy sweetness. Because if you don't do any of that, it's very sweet to do. I mean, French meringue is very sweet.
And so how did you prepare your peaches then?
Just sliced. Nothing, because it's peak season.
So they juice themselves in a funny way? I see.
It was wonderful.
Which they do, which is so beautiful. This is what peach are so gorgeous about.
Yeah.
You slice them. You peel or not peel?
Peel.
Yeah. I'm a peel.
Peel.
Nectarine, not peel.
Yeah. I peel peaches too. Peel peaches, sliced, throw them onto a pie or pan, whatever you have for dessert, and let it sit there for a minute. It will start sweating and all that juice will come out.
So you bought your peaches at Matt. Do you remember the brand? Was it a particular
No, because they
orchard
usually have
Red Havens, right?
Right, called out the farm, but this display.
Yeah, they have a few. They actually go through different farms through
the
peach season. But what they're very proud of and what they do every year is that, remember, John Raleigh started that.
Yeah.
You know, the measuring
bricks.
the sugar content, the bricks into the peach. So they're very proud of their peach bricks measurement.
Well, also you just have to handle them so gently, like they're just a little pet bunny or something like that, right? So
unless you know what you're gonna do with it, don't buy more than 2 or 3.
Yeah, eat them today.
Buy 2 or 3. Eat them now. That's the end of that.
And that's the beautiful thing when they specialize in like the Peachorama, is that they are really kind of working the peaches so that they do have ripe ones all the time.
Correct.
Which is nice.
Yeah, and you eat them now. If you're gonna buy more and you want to do something with peaches, do the same treatment of, you peel them, you quarter them, and then you put them in the freezer on a sheet pan, individually, frozen. Oh, and then you have chunks of peaches in your freezer. Then you take them out, put them in a very heavy bag of
Ziploc or something.
Ziploc or even a container, and make sure they don't get freezer burn. And then when you want breakfast, take a few of those peaches out, cut them, put them in your cereal, and you get wonderful peaches.
The other thing I like to do, I love a little fruit with my roast duck, and I make duck probably more than anybody that I know.
You probably do.
I love roast duck, and but to have that little bit of peach, and then you kind of marry that with something like a sambal olek or something, where you got the hot chili paste and the sweet peach, and it makes a beautiful chutney or something of that nature. Yeah.
Peach does well warm, warm, not cooked into. I'm not a big fan of like cooked peaches, like down to a stew kind of thing. I'm not that person. I like to taste my peaches, but what I do every year is peach jam, which coming in the next week or 2, I'm going to do a whole batch of peach jam, because I do peach jam where you have chunks of peaches, and in January, testing fresh peaches in your jam. It's memorable.
Sounds delicious. All right, coming up next, Marcus Lalario from Little Woody's is here. It's Seafood Month at Little Woody's, and Marcus is going to tell us all about it. And I know I'm first up in this adventure with a salmon burger at Little Woody's. So we're going to talk about that on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
There's 2 of us applauding now.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, Janet. Good morning.
Hi, Janet.
Marcus, come be famous. Right
Marcus,
here.
you're supposed to
close to the mic when you're talking.
Marcus, you're supposed to go. Who are you talking to? I'm already famous.
Barely.
Where did you get this
I had it
wonderful
made.
thing?
Yeah.
Spectacular.
I've had it for like 25 years now. 25
What?
years, yeah. Hasn't fallen off yet.
That's cool.
Looks like the old Sonics logo.
Yeah. Maybe when it falls off, it's time to move. Yeah. Yep. I had a record label back in the day called Under the Needle. So we kind of stole the Sonics logo.
Good call. They didn't need it, it turns out.
No, unfortunately, I don't think there was anything to sue. We would have welcomed the lawsuit just.
I know exactly. Just for the publicity.
Yeah, we might have sold a few more records.
I love
I
that.
win,
when-
you have to bring
It's
the
always
Sonics
nice to
back.
be in that position of like, go ahead,
Yeah, please
make
do.
my day. Go ahead.
Spend all the money.
It can
to make
only
nothing.
help me.
Marcus, this is your camera that you're on.
Okay.
So don't flash anybody.
Okay.
You're live on YouTube right now.
Okay.
All good?
Yeah, he's got places to go. Things
I
to
understand.
do, so we got to get him.
I got it. I'm,
On.
I'm right here.
We got him
Sorry,
on top.
We're
Sorry
on,
about
we're
your-
on the money.
Sorry about your mom, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. She was a sweet old bird, is what I like
Sounds
to say.
like it.
What?
Oh wow.
Monday. How did you hear that? Oh.
I like that.
This looks a little bit more.
What's that? Yeah, fiance.
92.
We did have plans before the pandemic.
Oh.
No. She was at the hospital. I was just telling them that she was telling my sister.
Yeah. Take all the stress out of it.
That's what happened to my dad. My brother thought, oh, who are we kidding? He's great. Da, 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 da. And I go to the nurse. This is how much my dad said, put his glasses on, started talking to everybody.
And we want to go
I'd like
somewhere,
to-
I think. So you can't put all the travel on
Back down.
people traveling, maybe gets canceled. And we almost booked this hotel and there's a huge deposit.
No, she
Thank
has to-
goodness we didn't.
I know,
because Italians aren't giving you your money. They're not.
This is delicious.
Yep. It was in Tormina.
What is it?
And so it's like it was a great deal because wedding.
That's what a scrambled egg is.
People love it.
They're like incredibly inexpensive, but if they have your
I
money,
know,
they're not
that's
giving
why
it.
I brought it up for him.
Yeah.
You need to slap
And I
him.
This
said-
is what a scrambled egg should be.
Should I slap him?
No. You should
I
give
can
him the
find out.
repo. Give him the
I-
repo. Give him the repo. Make the repo. Get all the customer. Oh, tell him. Okay, well, I'm sorry. My word is.
That was hilarious. He was talking about it. I just stopped the show and I said, "Are you really adding to your own?"
I said, alors, non,
Oh my God!
Taylor
Whatever. Oh, that's.
see, I can get away with it.
Yeah, you,
Oh, you didn't. I totally busted
I know you. He
that
totally
is,
busted me.
that is good. Oh man, I love that. Yeah, I would say.
This is freaking delicious, actually. This is really. I wish more restaurant. I wish more restaurant would serve scrambled egg. Scrambled egg in that section. Pam, did you try this?
Just me.
I would say after.
I bet Pam agrees with
Not
me.
gonna try it, or
Pam
you-
thinks
Look at her.
Pam
Oh
doesn't
my
like
God.
anything in her egg. She wants an
Nice.
egg. And she wants her vegetable.
Look at the. What is this?
That's what Rory's been trying to do when he's all done. He goes like this when he's all done. Or this when he wants.
Because they teach him sign language.
And most Italian go like this. And like this.
Exactly. That's another
All right,
classic.
eat up, baby.
It's delicious. Thank you. Well, I wasn't that hungry. But.
Apricot jam is to die for.
That's from our
I
apricot
don't want
tree.
to. I don't want to be spitting eggs on the mic.
Chop,
Come on,
chop.
come on. He's got to go. He's got to go.
Go.
Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show from the Hot Stove Society Kitchens here in downtown Seattle, 4th and Virginia. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Hopefully, you're in your garden or you're driving down the freeway with us on your radio. Maybe in the kitchen making something delicious like that apricot jam you're about ready
That
to eat.
apricot jam is, I was going to say,
That's from our tree.
super tasty.
Yeah.
Whoever made that made it perfectly well. I like it because it's not too sweet. It's got the perfect apricot flavor. Also has that tanginess an apricot do when you cook them.
Uh-huh.
It's very well balanced.
And it's just
beautiful.
a natural pectin. There's no pectin added.
No,
Yeah.
it's delicious.
It's Seafood Month at Lil Woody's. Marcus Lalario is here to tell us all about it. He's at the microphone now. Thank you for coming all the way down here to
Welcome.
downtown Seattle.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for being a part of it this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're thrilled.
How's
to
my
have you.
burger selling? Or do we know
It's
yet?
actually selling
It
really
starts today?
well. It started yesterday.
Started yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, and it's been going great. For some reason, White Center twice as good as other areas.
Well, who knew?
Where are your
Ooh.
locations?
White Center, Capitol Hill, Ballard, and then we have 2 locations in T-Mobile, and then we have the airport coming up next year, and Microsoft
Where are you going to be at the airport?
End terminal.
And-
It's been an 8-year or 7-year struggle with the airport.
Yeah, we tried to get into the
No
airport.
s-
And
Surprise
it's
there.
a busy terminal.
Very busy. Yeah, we had a spot in the Seagate. They decided they couldn't get the right utilities to the spot after we had everything approved. They moved us to the end terminal. The pandemic hit. So
Yeah. All right,
we're
Seafood
staying
Month.
patient.
So
Yep.
you got me here. I know that I made a version of the salmon burger that we use down at Seatown Restaurant,
Yep.
utilizing the beautiful Bristol-based sockeye, which is just coming up towards the tail end of its run, a record year, almost 70 million fish this year from the Bristol Bay run, a record turnout. This is the 4th or 5th year in a row for record turnout for Bristol Bay sockeye.
That's
So
amazing.
I think if
no pebble mine.
I think if I remember this correctly, Tom, it was 52 million the first year. Then it came
Well-
back, and now it's at 70 million.
No, yeah, it's been 50 some, but it's been coming back for eons.
Yeah.
So I don't. Maybe when we started counting was that.
Or
but-
maybe, yeah.
So anyway, so we're. I know my sandwich is the griddled salmon. It's got the fresh fennel relish and a little remoulade on it.
Yep.
What's coming up after me?
after you, we have Terrell Jackson from Catfish Corner.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing his classic catfish sandwich, which is fried catfish, American cheese, his own tartar sauce that he makes, and shredded lettuce. After that is Frank's
Can
Oyster.
you
Husk.
stop there for 1 second? Am I the only person that loves catfish?
If you go to Catfish Corner, you'll see other people who do
yeah,
love
but
catfish.
it's
I would
just
say,
They're
I
there.
would say
You
no
don't
to
see
that.
it in the grocery store.
It's
hardly
right down
at
the
all.
street from my house, and I guarantee you, there's a line almost daily.
But why don't you ever see catfish in the grocery
And
store?
I have another restaurant called Fats Chicken and Waffles, and
Uh-huh.
we sell a ton of catfish.
Oh,
there.
do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
People
Oh, that's
actually,
your restaurant?
yeah.
Oh, cool.
People actually add catfish to the eggs Benedict in the brunch
Ah,
instead.
ah.
Yeah.
On some,
Good call.
It's in Rainier Valley, right?
Central District. Yeah.
Oh, Central
Yep,
District, yeah.
Yep. Same.
Yeah,
zone.
It's right across from the old Central Smoke. Is that true? Or
Yep. It's
Yeah.
right on 20 or Cherry and MLK. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so no, it's not where I was thinking. Okay, what's next after that?
After that is Frank's Oyster House.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing fried oyster sandwich, pickled jalapenos, and a remoulade. And then it's Estuary, which is kind of an up and coming caterer chef. He's working on opening up his own fish market where you can get the fish. He'll also prepare it. So we wanted to add a little shine and give him a little attention. So he's doing a surf and turf thing with sole and pork patty, a remoulade. And then after that is our own fish fillet that we do, which is just a direct bite of McDonald's. Except
That's
we
a-
use
a
a
Alaska
good
pollock?
piece of cod. Yeah, cod.
Yeah. Oh,
Cod,
God.
yeah. We did
Cod.
pollock last year, but it was hard to come by it this
Yeah.
year.
Huh.
So we switched to cod. And that's just American cheese, like a pickly tartar sauce, shredded lettuce,
Mhm.
fried beer battered fish.
Just a old McFish ripoff.
Oh,
Love
it's
that.
great. The old
I still
man
buy
meal.
an old McFish once in a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Small coffee and a
It kind
fillet
of tastes like
fish.
it's been in the freezer for a bit.
A little bit.
No
A little
offense.
bit.
Pam, it's
Not
so
Lil
funny.
Woody's.
It's so funny how it would never come to my mind. I mean, I've been
not so-
I've been to McDonald's once, but it would never come to my mind to think of McDonald's and fish at the same time. I don't know why. I think
I
of
don't know why
McDonald's
either.
with
But why are you doing Seafood Month?
Just to bring some attention to the Northwest. Also, we do a thing called Burger Month where we work with chefs, and we love collaborating over there. We love working with other people. We love seeing other people's creativity, what they can do with a burger or sandwich. And so what we found when we first started was some of these elevated chefs were excited to build a burger. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's not something they always get
That's
to
what-
do, but they all love burgers and they all have the burger they love.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we've done Burger Month, I think 7 or 8 years, and it's every year it gets better and better. This is our second year of Seafood Month, and we found the same thing. It's
Uh-huh.
been great. Plus, we get to shine a little attention on restaurants that we love, or
And the
up-and-coming
Woodies too,
people.
and what you guys do too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's-
They
that's
kind
awesome.
of co-sign us.
Yeah.
We co-sign them. It's a good partnership.
no, it's a great partnership. Yeah, and
Yep.
it's gives a sense of community, which is what Seattle is all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
like to not lose that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to jump in again, but that's okay.
Burger for Burger program.
Yeah, so that was something that we've always been into donating and giving back. Anytime there's any kind of auction, fundraiser, anything we can do, we always donate. But during the pandemic, we realized like there's a lot of underserved communities that need food. A lot of families or parents, single families that just need a lunch or food. So we started a program called Burger for Burger, where you buy a burger, we donate a burger. So we're donating 100 to 200 burgers a week to schools, seniors, because what we also didn't realize with a lot of senior citizen centers that were going there to get food, they couldn't because of COVID. So there was an organization that was delivering food, so we bring them food to deliver.
Nice.
And so we continue that program.
Tremendous generosity. Thank you.
I mean, it feels good and it's cool. And when you work with some of these bigger chefs, you are profiting off their burgers. So it's nice to be like, you know what, we're going to donate whatever we sell. We're going to donate burgers in your name.
There's so much good about all of that. I think when you go back and look at how Food Lifeline has made its way over the pandemic and literally for all the time it's been in operation, 50, 60 years now, it all depends on chefs bringing attention to it, other people bringing attention, and then generosity of our neighbors. Helping neighbors. So
and we talk about it, but we try not to brag about it, but we talk about it to hopefully influence other people that are able or have the means to do it, to do whatever you can.
And I think it's exactly how it should work. You get other chefs involved, so the whole community gets involved. Everybody gains from that by being, helping the community, which is, if we don't have a community, we don't have customer. If we don't have customer, we can close the door. So, it's a mutual. It works for everybody, and it's a feel good all around.
Yeah, and 100 burgers, when you look at it, you think, man, that's a lot of cost. But at the end of the day, you really don't even notice it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And the people who are cooking the food feel really good about it because they're helping the process in donating burgers.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're letting the staff pick organizations that they believe in and to donate to, and we just try to make it about the community, especially in the neighborhoods we're in.
It's good to get the staff involved in the donation part. I think that's very smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's go. Let's take a step back for a second. And Little Woody's is all about the burgers.
Yep.
What makes a great burger? People are on their grills right now this summer making burgers outdoors. Or a lot of people I saw at Home Depot, they have these griddles now that they're selling, outdoor griddles. What to you makes a perfect burger?
When we went into it, I used to love just getting frozen Costco burgers and just tossing them on the grill. After a while, I didn't love it so much. And so what I wanted to do was create I don't know if I can swear, a bad backyard burger, but make it well.
You can't swear.
Okay. Well, good thing I didn't. So we wanted to elevate the backyard burger.
Okay.
And so by doing that, it starts just with fresh ground beef.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And picking a ground
80-20?
beef. We moved to 75-25 now.
75-25.
Just because the fat content really builds it up. And we were doing Painted Hills, but we really recently switched to Royal Ranch just because they're in the state and what they're doing over there for the environment and sustainability is really, really great. But yeah, just finding that meat you love and that seasoning you love and cooking it. And once that you have that, it's really hard to kind of mess it up.
Toasted bun or untoasted bun?
Buttered and toasted.
Buttered and toasted. Real butter.
Good, man.
What's that?
Real butter.
Real butter.
Wow, that's awesome.
Real butter.
Onions, fried, fresh, anything?
We do both. So what we did, me and my friend got together for 6 months before I opened. And we started with ground beef. We picked the ground beef we liked. We made seasonings, found the seasoning we liked, found the buns. And then we each came up with 15 to 20 burgers that we each liked. We narrowed it down so we had a burger for each palate.
I see.
So we do have some caramelized onions in the trotter, which is apples, caramelized onion, like a bacon compote, and then it's finished with horseradish. And then we have raw onions on a thing called smoked out, with a chipotle sauce, fresh onions, tomatoes, and smoked cheddar cheese.
And even Terry, it sounds like you might even go to this.
I might
place.
even go.
I might even
eat that one.
We might need you to do a burger next time.
I'll do. I helped.
I used to have 2 burgers in the one at Luc and one at Lule, and they were pretty darn good.
I'm sure.
We were proud of our burgers, actually.
I'm sure.
One of our old coworkers started the Red Mill Burgers, and so
I'm friends of the family. I'm
with Babe Shepherd. And I remember helping her with her onion ring recipe, and but I am the one that gets me about her. She does not agree with me. She uses a whole leaf of green leaf. and I like shredded lettuce, like
I'm a
on a
shredded
Dick's
lettuce
burgers,
dude all
because
day.
I hate when you bite into the burger and the whole leaf comes off. And
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you heat shredded, it falls apart too. It
whatever.
falls.
I don't mind.
I was-
Whatever. Red
I
Mill
was actually
Burger is
at Aaron's
delicious.
wedding that you catered.
Really? That's so funny. All right, we got to run, but go visit Little Woody's. Say hi to Marcus and try out my burger this week. If not next week, you can jump in on. I know I have it right here. You can jump in on the Catfish Corners signature sandwich burger with fried catfish. On Cairo Radio, you're listening to the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Great. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for making the trip.
Look at that clock.
Time.
Oh, 2 minutes early. We're gonna make the next one.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
Thank you so much. I might be in touch with you.
Okay.
I love it.
Sure.
Appreciate you.
Nice meeting you. Thank you.
All right.
See you guys.
Cheers.
Take care.
Yeah, they're good right here.
You sure?
Yeah.
Thanks again. Cheers.
You're welcome. Good luck.
I was thinking that was Savannah, who used to work downstairs. Doesn't she look like Savannah?
Mikey,
Terry.
how the hell are you, man?
Good to see you, man.
It's like a good one. Believe me, I understand that part.
He's doing so well.
Is he?
Yeah.
Whatever happened? Did they cut his pay or?
She said, you know, it was, let's get this solved. And then, like, every 2 weeks, I get a note from her, Kathy Cajano, saying, don't worry, we're working on it. I'm like, okay. So,
Hi, Mike.
Tom,
oh, Kairos.
I was
right.
all of a sudden interested in our show,
They're thinking about our relationship.
so we may or may not have a show.
So do you want me to be part of the dealing? Because this time, no Mr. Nice Guy.
woo,
You've been way too close.
We're the only ones who are on that air for free. I mean, we're not for free because we pay for
tough
this. but
Terry,
Terry's getting
tough Terry.
Everyone else pays thousands of dollars to be on that.
How much?
That is true.
Thousands.
Hold on one second. How much money do you think you got them over 22 years?
I have no idea. It's one of the problems with our relationship.
I do.
I mean, they might be watching right now, but that is a problem.
Please, assess. Come back to me. I didn't want to talk.
Because we don't really know how we fit in that way. So it's interesting. Gross. That is true, Chef. You hit the nail on the head. Hope you enjoyed that.
Oh, fun.
He looks like he was enjoying
These
it.
are good scrambled eggs.
I
I don't know what you're talking about.
think
What is it
Terry.
that you don't like
I think
about
Terry's
it?
hungry.
They come out looking like baby food to me, kind of like
That's
custard. Yeah, it's not necessarily what scrambles are. You can
Oh.
make it lots of different ways.
but that's attractive.
This is,
I know we are Jacques Pepin. How you do a scrambled egg?
I know Jacques likes it that way. Okay.
Okay, I know better. We'll ask Julia.
When we ask Mike Tier,
Don't ask me.
since he's up next.
We'll ask Mike what he wants to drink with that.
I tend to like them a little less scrambled. I can cut them up myself. Tossed over easy, sort of.
Mm.
Pamela just doesn't like anything in her eggs, is what she says.
Well, if the eggs are really good, you don't need much of anything.
I agree, but the
I
scramble
don't
is
need stuff in my
that is a
eggs.
style of eating them.
I just want
Eggs.
good eggs.
Well,
Like
you should have.
processed-
Jacky's got plenty. You should
Like
have her
processed
bring you
farm
eggs.
Yeah. Well,
Just a reminder. It's like, hello, eggs.
Eggs.
there's a butcher in the Ballard Farmers Market who will, you spend $25, he gives you a dozen eggs. He has so many eggs.
No,
And they're really good eggs.
I go spend 25 for 1,000 eggs from the farm.
When you buy $25 worth of lamb, he gives you the eggs.
That's awesome. Keep that. I love that.
Are we okay now, Chef?
Oh, it's so good.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society Kitchen here in downtown Seattle.
Here we go.
Here we go.
There we go.
Pamela, we're going to let you introduce this next person. He's unfamiliar to me, but I know you know him intimately.
There's a spectacular owner-operated wine shop in the Pike Place Market that has the best selection of wine, best curated selection that is tasted by the staff and endorsed by the staff. So you're always led to something
So
completely
the boss can
delicious.
come back to work every day.
Yes. And it is run by a handsome man named Michael Tier, and the name of the shop is Pike and Western. Welcome, Mike.
Hello,
Thanks,
Mike.
Pam. Terry, good to see you. Tom,
Do you know this lady who introduced you so well?
I've met her once or twice.
Yeah.
You know, here's the funny part about their relationship. I knew them both before they were adversaries. Pam was managing a wine shop at the Dealer Rennie's in one end of the market, and Mike was managing a wine shop at Pike and Western at the other end of the market, and they didn't particularly care for each other. They were very competitive.
She had been flirting with me all along.
Oh, I see how it is.
That's
And I sold them both wine when I was selling wine wholesale. So
before he knew
He's
Jackie.
taking credit.
so you're looking from the outside. I like it.
anyway, so Pam, you brought Mike on today because you do wine classes here sometimes.
Yes.
And a big question you always get is about this natural wine thing.
Natural wine. People think it's a new invention
Mhm.
to have natural wine. And I hear Mike complaining about the questions that he gets from his consumers. Go, Terry.
I want to make one quick remark about
Yes, please.
natural wine. There are some very fabulous natural wine on the market, but there are also a lot of not so good wine natural on the market. So if your introduction to wine is natural wine, go see Mike and ask him where you should start. Ask people who know about wine where you should start, because I think there is a lot of
Absolutely.
mediocre. And recently, I was actually with Cyril. We were in a restaurant, and he ordered a wine by the glass because that's what he wanted. He wanted a glass of wine, and they brought him a glass of wine that was, it's natural, whatever. And the wine was absolutely despicable. I mean, it was really not good.
This is where this segment came from. So break it down for us, Mike.
Well, first, I'd like to correct you just a little bit. It's not the customer's questions, it's the information they're getting that leads to those questions, because there's so much hyperbole. And I've always lived by something I read in a Michael Broadbent wine book many, many years ago. It was written in the 18th century. In wine and wine writing, there's an enormous amount of humbug. And it's still true today. And in the natural wine market, it seems to have blossomed a bit. Natural wine is not new. It's the way wine used to be made before there were chemicals and stainless steel fermenters. And you crush grapes, you put them in some sort of vessel, and it fermented. And natural wine is a little more than that. It's a good thing overall, because the idea of natural wine is that you have to start in the vineyard. But there's different levels. There's natural, there's organic, there's biodynamic. And
just like in the food, it's the same thing.
And you're correct. There are a lot of natural, quote, natural wines, because there's no true definition of it, no legal definition, that aren't very good. And I taste them all the time. They look terrible. They ruin the grapes.
They're unstable.
But there are, and increasingly, we're seeing people that really know what they're doing, noticing this market, and they're adding their expertise and making really high quality natural wines. And a lot of it has to do with farming. It starts with farming, but it's a very confusing issue for the consumer.
I think it starts with farming and also knowing what wine is. I mean, everybody can probably make natural wine on their own by getting grapes and making the fermentation. But there is a certain amount of knowledge that needs to be involved in terms of making it so you can put it in a bottle and be stable and be alive for
Exactly.
stay that way for a while. It's like,
and the idea that a natural wine, to begin with, there's nothing natural about making wine. If you want to let the grapevine grow naturally, it grows huge and it doesn't make fruit that you want to make wine out of.
Correct.
So you have to prune the grape. You have to take care of the grape. You have to
water the grapes.
You have to water them.
Actually, not true.
Not everyone has to.
No,
water,
in most of the world, in Europe, it's not allowed. Irrigation isn't allowed.
Right.
You have to be able to exist off existing water that comes down from the sky or that's in the ground.
And I can tell you this summer they're hurting.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother subject, climate change and the effect on grapes. But the positive thing about natural wines is it's really forcing even conventional winemakers to look at their vineyards more, because it has to start in the vineyard.
Correct.
And then you do as little as possible. You don't use herbicides and pesticides.
Correct.
You don't use chemical fertilizers.
Correct.
And then you do as little as possible in making the wine. The tenets of natural wine are that no herbicides, pesticides, chemicals in the vineyard, native yeast fermentation, which some winemakers don't agree with, but you let the, and some people say there is no native yeast, but you don't add an inoculated yeast
Correct.
to get the fermentation going. Sometimes it takes longer. You don't use additives, enzymes. You don't add tannin. You don't add mega purple.
No wood chips.
Nothing. You don't add anything. But I learned something new in doing a little research. In Europe, you can be, well, or an organic wine, because natural, actually they're trying to define natural, but organic wine in Europe, you're allowed to use a little bit of sulfur. To be classified organic in the United States, you can't add sulfur, which is, I think, why you see so few wines labeled organic in the United States, because you need a little bit of sulfur.
Correct.
And a certain amounts of natural byproduct of fermentation.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a little bit more it's more complicated than just mom's backyard and make some wine, you know, and especially for being retailing or reselling.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, it's like you're making it at home, that's a different story. But for resell or retail or being in a restaurant as a pour for $15 a glass
And
or $12 a glass, you
shipping,
can
Yeah, you have to, it's being shipped around the world, or even if it's being shipped from Eastern Washington to Seattle, it has to be stable enough to take some heat and some.
Okay, we only have a couple of minutes left. What are some of your breakthrough natural wines that make you happy?
Some of the best ones are very small producers. There's a producer in Umbria who has been doing it for a long time. It goes by the name Paolo Bea. And he and his son, John Piero, have a classic Italian farm, grapes, olive trees, animals, and his natural wines are gorgeous.
So Umbria's in central Italy, right?
Central Italy. And we just brought in his pasta from wheat that he grows and mills on the property as well. We had it for dinner the other night. It's fantastic. Then there are some bigger producers. We haven't talked about biodynamics, but that's kind of the beginning of natural wine. A bigger Vouvray producer, Domaine Huet, makes gorgeous, beautiful, clean, long-lived biodynamic wines, which is sort of super organic.
You want to go very expensive, Dagenot
is very expensive, but Huet surprisingly isn't. They're still in the mid $40 range.
Yeah.
And for me, the most exciting thing has been many smaller champagne producers going more organic, not natural per se, but taking care of their vineyards better. Because as you know, champagne used to use a lot of chemicals.
Correct.
And that's been a big addition. And I think well done wines made from grapes grown organically and biodynamically are more alive and they taste better. But the first duty of wine is to be delicious. And if it's not, in a lot of natural wines, there's Brettanomyces, there's volatile acidity. It's not fulfilling its duty to be delicious.
Well, if you want to check out more, go down and see the staff at Pike and Western Wine Shop down there at the corner of Pike Place and Western Avenue.
Virginia.
Yeah. There's like a little meat there. Seatown Restaurant
right across
the
Seatown.
street. Cutter's Restaurant is right across the street. So it's a fun place in the Pike Place market. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you so much.
Terry. Thanks
Nice
for
to see
sharing.
you.
Thanks for sharing your husband with us, Pamela.
All right.
We need more wine talk.
Is it Macaron or Macaroon? That's what we're going to
Macaron.
That's what we're going to decide. Yeah. Next on Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Oh.
What is it exactly? Macaron?
Macaron.
It depends which one you're eating.
It's only in English you say un. In French we don't
It's
say
spelled
un.
with two O's in English.
I know. That's why you say un in English, but in French it's macaron.
Macaron. Okay.
Macaron.
So I often, for a little treat for the staff, in the afternoon, I go to La Panier and get one for everybody, and it's just a perfect little treat.
That was one thing that was really funny when I was doing the tour of Les Halles Market in Lyon with the group. I did 2 tours in the morning. And, stopped at the charcuterie place and said, can you make me a platter for everybody? Stop at the oyster place, have the oyster. And there was a store with just macaron. And I said, give me like 21 macarons. She goes, which one do you like? And I go, foie gras macaron? Yes. Foie gras macaron in the morning.
Oh,
What a great, it's delicious. I mean, well, think of foie gras mousse and
oh wow.
and meringue. I mean, it's like, how bad can that get? It's delicious.
Pamela tell you about her fabulous meringue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
so we talked
pavlova.
about it already.
Oh, you know, my wife
Bragged
was
about it.
telling me this. She said, why?
It was amazing because it kept the crispy shell, but
Uh-huh.
it had the
Yeah.
chewy. It was-
Inside, yeah.
Actually,
Bye,
that's,
baby. Thank you.
Okay.
I know.
See you later.
Hi, Mike. Yeah,
I'd like to be here when the crowd's here.
Yeah.
well, the crowd is not on Wednesday. The crowd is on Friday.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Can't always get what you want, but you might try something.
You get what you need.
Isn't that jam good?
Oh, it is perfect. It's got
Yeah.
that bright finish,
Mhm.
and the fruit is definable. Love it.
Very, very delicious.
I didn't know Jacques Pepin had a foundation. So it was so cool. Madeline must follow him that they posted that graphic, and I that's the that I put. Yeah. So that's what they posted on Instagram.
This? Oh, no, this.
Macaron?
They're the one who did that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. I missed the point.
And then just so the pronunciation of the three of them, I think it's what we want to hear from you because it's funny.
Macaron?
And I think when people they're ordering and looking at the two different styles of cookies, get confused.
Well, in France, they're both on macaron. We would say. I mean, I've never made.
How do you
macaron.
say a Jewish deli macaron and a French bakery macaron?
We would call them both macaron. But in France, you don't see a lot of
The coconut one.
I always think of those as Jewish deli food.
I mean, honestly, I've never seen it until I came to the States. Man.
Terry wasn't hungry, but he demolished the scramble. I think he has a seal of approval.
This is a good sign when I'm not hungry. to eat. It's always a good sign. But then again, that's my life. It seems like it happens often. Then I eat and I'm not hungry. Right, Tom?
Ah, got a little system there, huh, Bridget? Got a little system there.
I must say, genius idea. That was your idea, right? Yeah, that's a genius idea because it's like tool shop meets kitchen. And why not?
I have them all over my home shop, my shop in the farm.
I mean, there's nothing better than having the electricity coming from above that retrieves. It's the safest thing in the world, and it's anyway.
Ready, set?
Ready, set.
Set.
Hour number 2. Woohoo! We're back. It's a lovely
back.
day. It's the Hot Stove Society show.
Summertime.
I am joined in the kitchen by Pamela Hinckley, our producer, Sean McFadden, our technical director, and of course the chef in the chapeau,
Monsieur
Monsieur-
Thierry Roturo.
Mr. Thierry Roturo.
Say it right, since we're going to talk about.
Monsieur Roturo, in honor of Julia's birthday, Pamela has a question for you.
Is it macaron, macaroon, Macaron?
Macaron.
Please lead us through.
Macarena.
Oh, it's the
Or is-
Macarena.
Or is it
It's
Macarena?
the
No,
Macarena.
it is macaroon.
Okay, so just to preface our little conversation here, we do have another full hour of goodness. Pam, you saw on the Jacques Pepin Foundation website,
Madeline Pennington pointed us to
right?
it.
There was a discussion about macaroon versus macaron versus Macron. and it's a cute little thing. And so you thought you'd ask Terry, which is which?
To demystify it, and they were part of the graphic that the foundation posted was, and which is your favorite?
Which is your favorite?
Oh, yeah.
Macaron, the president, macaroon, the Jewish deli coconut cookie, and macaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I like my 2-layered macaron with a little sandwich of cream in the middle.
Mhm.
Yes.
so
That's how I like my macaron.
that's how you pronounce it too.
Macaron.
Macaron.
That's how you say it. Macaron. You
Yeah.
don't say macaroon. That's
that's-
English version.
That's the English version, but it's also, I think, is a different kind of cookie.
Correct. It's just
It's like
coconut and
that
egg white
pasty coconut.
and
yeah.
soft in the middle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where the macaron, how you guys say it in French, the macaron is French egg white, French meringue, pardon me, that is lightly crusty on the outside, tender on the inside, with a cream in between 2 layers.
And there's
So-
a rage around the world.
They're the rage around the world.
When I first went to Paris, I had them at Laudray.
yeah,
So
and,
beautiful. One
what's
of the most beautiful bakeries in the world.
incredible display.
Yeah. And what's his name? There was another guy that did them too.
Yes.
Hubert or
No,
Christian, somebody?
it will
No.
come back to me.
Okay.
I'm
But-
asking Bridget to join because she just taught a class in the classic one, and much to my surprise, the guests had tremendous success because it's the technique requires some attention with the grinding of the flours. And so
It's very
Yeah.
it's very interesting because people think it's really, really hard to make macaron. And it's just like most pastry that looks complicated. It's not complicated, it's attention.
it's
a little bit of
attention.
technical.
Just take step by step and pay attention.
Well, and there are a couple of key points in the making of macaron
Of course.
that
Now, wait a
have
second.
to.
Macron is the president.
Macaron. You have to say all the
Macaron
letters.
is the
Macaron.
cookie.
Think of a Japanese. You know how the Japanese say
Well,
every
the
letters in
Italian
a word?
too.
Italian too. So macaron.
Macaron.
Macron is the president of
That's
France.
right. Handsome guy.
Anyway, keep going.
The grinding of the flour
Critical.
is a key critical step. Sifting and grinding of the flour. So the almond flour with the confectioner sugar. Then the other step that I learned later was the folding of the batter
So you
and
don't
almost
break.
over folding. Remember with Julia, and she really used to whip her whites in the making of her souffles.
Mhm.
She would use a whisk and really mix and blend everything together well. And that's the same.
Uh-huh.
And so if you fold them,
Whereas I think traditionally you would think you don't want to knock the air out of the whites, right? Okay.
Correct. Right. Because you want to be careful. You're scared. So then you don't fold it and it still gets that coarse finish on the top. So I had what I said in class was I had phone a friend. I had a phone a friend situation with Chef Kim Smith. And so I would call her, and I can't tell you how many times I called Kim. Once, she stopped teaching the class. We had Olivier teach the class. He
Mhm.
worked for Ducasse. We had Antoine Rondonnet. He taught the class. Kim Smith taught the class. Ariami, who cooked here, she taught the class.
Were you nervous teaching the class?
That first time, it was like, I'd made a couple of
You hope it's going to
batches.
come out.
Yeah, and they were coarse. And I was like, darn it, And so just a little bit. And
There is, I think, first of all, no matter what, you eat it at the end. So don't worry too much about that because it's sugar and egg white. You're going to eat it no matter what. It's like candy,
I know, but
Now,
when they're beautiful,
Perfection is something that takes a little practice, like Bridget say. It doesn't come most likely the first day, but it is not. If you pay attention to detail, it's not necessarily hard to get to it. You just have to practice
Right.
and understand what she's talking about. So the sifting of the flour allows the whole thing to stay up. The egg white keeps it up, but the flour being light as opposed to be totally a very heavy flour allows it to stay up a little bit. So the macaron at very low heat can stay up and form that little crust that you're looking for And then you also have to be careful that the crust doesn't become all crackled.
Right.
You know, because I've done macaron where
Right.
it looked like the face of a 150-year-old.
Oil painting, yeah.
You know, it's like all crackled.
The
And
Mona Lisa is on your macaron. What
Yeah,
happened?
exactly.
Oh man.
I don't think anybody's cracked at the class, did they? I
No,
didn't see any
they were
cracked ones.
perfect.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I was
And the class
actually
sold
kind
out-
of surprised.
The class sold out really fast.
Yeah.
so when
and
are
it
you doing
was-
the next one?
Well, that's what Bridget said. We better do this again. But they make me nervous, the baking classes.
It's
But-
They
true.
make you nervous?
I know.
That's
'Cause
okay.
You want them to be
Did you come to it?
successful.
She was here. She
Oh,
was
you
here.
were here. You
So
were
she saw it all, and we only had, and actually mine were wrong. Something happened in my demo. I don't know. I
Well, you're
must have-
busy teaching, so that's a bit. You have an excuse.
but mine were very tight and almost like the Italian.
Oh yeah.
Did you have a favorite flavor at the end of the day of all the did the people who took the class here at the hot stove?
Well, we didn't get into flavors
No.
because we didn't
just
want
technique.
them.
It was technique.
We just wanted technique, and we didn't want them to get distracted.
uh-huh.
Because in past class we've let them add color and let them add different flavors, and then they don't pay attention to the
Uh-huh.
steps. We've had some where they spread and they're the size of a sand dollar,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, sorry.
Like I said,
bummer."
no matter what, you will hit it at the end. But yes, Sandal is not
Super
what.
Yeah,
you're
there
looking
was
for.
only we had 12 teams, so
Uh-huh.
24 people total, and there was only one team that had kind of a coarse finish to their cookies, and it was the folding.
So if you want some local macaron,
Macaron.
Lady Yum has got shops all over the place now. It seems like certainly one right down here in town on the Amazon campus, and I've seen them, I believe, at the airport too.
Yeah, we have
there's-
some at Lulu.
You have some at
Mhm.
Lulu, yeah.
Yeah.
So there.
But
you go.
Yeah,
there
and
is a shop of
I
just
saw one in-
macaron from. I think it's Lady Yum actually.
Yeah,
Le
yeah.
Panier, isn't it?
Le
Doesn't
Panier
is
Panier
beautiful.
make,
Oh, Le
Yeah,
Panier
they
has
have-
some too. Yeah.
So they're out and about. Go out and check them out. It's really kind of the hot cookie in the world from everyone traveling to Paris.
Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you, Bridget.
So fun.
Are you coming back to play trivia later, Bridget?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
Oh. Next up, what's the difference between mozzarella and burrata? When we
Is there
come
one?
back here on Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Sean, I hope you have some tape clapping already from the ground. Good, good. That will be moving. Yeah, that's it. That's more like it. We're live at the stadium today.
Hey.
We're live at the stadium.
That's funny. You say your friends are crazy for burrata now.
All
They just
of them.
they just want to eat it with caprese salads or
You know what's
Or
funny?
Burrata appetizer, burrata this, burrata this.
It's funny because
It's an easy order for a lot of them because it feels sophisticated. And
Mhm.
you know what? I must agree with you. When I saw this on the show, I was at my house. We have burrata and we have mozzarella. And honestly, I'm kind of done with burrata. I'm like, it's good, but
it's never been my favorite.
It's
That
not- it's
inside
not-
custardy.
it's not what you get with mozzarella. Mozzarella.
Sounds
Is
like this is what we want to talk
Okay,
about.
let's do it. Have you ever tried to decide whether you like mozzarella or burrata better?
Ooh.
It seems to be a hot topic in restaurants these days and in over tableside conversations.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that right now here on the Hot Stove Society Show. It's Chef in the Chapeau
Monsieur Douglas.
and Tom Douglas. Thanks for joining us today. Chef, a lot of my very sophisticated friends love ordering burrata out in restaurants because it seems special and interesting. And
Well, it is different and
It
it's
is
fairly
different.
new.
then people like me kind of like I got it in the very beginning, and then I was like, well, what's so special about this?
Right.
So I feel like a contrarian, which is often the case for me. I know people tell me that all the time. I'm not trying to be, but I just don't get it. So what's the difference between mozzarella and burrata? Let's start there, and then we can talk about what we like and dislike, and then what we can also talk about how we like to serve it.
Right. Well, the difference between mozzarella and burrata is mozzarella that is surrounding cream on the inside, basically.
Like a custardy but chunky.
Correct. So, yeah, like an aged cream kind of idea.
Yeah.
And so that's the
But
difference.
it's a mozzarella skin, whereas mozzarella is just a ball of mozzarella.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mozzarella is what you could call a finished cheese,
Mm-hmm.
where mozzarella, a burrata is actually a cheese skin that is surrounding the inside of a light,
Custardy
very
curd.
custardy cheese.
Yeah.
The beginning of cheese, basically. And I personally, I'll give you my personal opinion. I personally, like everybody, tried the burrata, different ways and everything. All in all, I think burrata has its place, but it is definitely not as commonly as it is used today.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's a good addition to, for example, a warm dish.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, for example, if I'm making a fresh pasta, finish it with beautiful basil, maybe some pancetta. Then I'll add some burrata into that.
Do you chop it up?
Yeah, I just cut it down.
So
and
you
put
kind
it,
of get the custardy. You also get
I want
little
everything
chunks
to
of the
be
skin.
correct.
Yeah.
And the cream will help make the sauce at the end. And that's basically how I would use it. I've had it a few times with one of my favorite salad in the summertime is tomato. We have tomatoes everywhere. Tomatoes, cucumber, and mozzarella. Now, putting burrata on that changes the entire thing because everything becomes soapy and very runny, and it just doesn't quite cut it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I'm having the same thing as mozzarella. When I use mozzarella and I eat mozzarella, especially cold or in a salad, I have a little chewy textures and I'm looking forward to in the bites that I'm eating because I get the crunchy cucumber, I get the tomato a little bit soft, and then I get the mozzarella. I don't find that with the burrata, it's very soft.
Right.
And I think it's very much a textural thing that I'm not getting. Plus, because it's cream on the inside, it becomes very watery in my dressing.
Mm-hmm.
So not something I personally really want.
So typically, when we serve it at one of our restaurants, we try to buy the Italian buffalo milk burrata.
Sure.
And which is a smaller round.
Right.
Some of the burratas you see, especially out of Wisconsin, that Belgosio,
Huge.
they're huge. And you either serve the whole ball, because once you cut it open, the custard will come out.
Correct.
Or you carefully slice it so that you can serve it on a half shell,
Correct.
essentially.
Yeah.
So that the custard is kind of facing up in the burrata. And then for me, I like it on some sort of Italian green, like a kale salad or something where when it does come out of its shell,
Right.
it is not something that mixes with a real dressing.
Right.
Because if you're putting mustard vinaigrette, say, and then you put burrata, it's going to milk out your dressing and you're
Correct.
not going to know what it is.
Yeah.
So it has to be.
I think one thing that would be delicious is a half, like you just said, like a half cup of burrata, cut in half and then flipped up, and beautiful truffle from Piedmont. That would be shaved right on top of that. Now, I think that would make a very nice combination.
That or something simple like that,
Right.
or take your burrata, put it on the plate, and then go to your grill and wood fire your bread, right?
Yeah.
So all you're doing is you're going to pour delicious extra virgin olive oil over top of your burrata, maybe some smoked flake salt, and then you have this bread, and you're going to spread the burrata
Correct.
on the bread, rather than kind of having the burrata kind of take over another whole dish.
Right. I think it would make also probably a good pizza covering if you had the pizza crust like. Again,
It's too wet for me.
We've had your pizza crust again not too long ago. Same concept where you do heirloom tomato, you do burrata on top of that, and then you do then you bake the whole thing. Then when it comes out, you sprinkle julienne, basil everywhere. Now that to me that makes a good
And
pizza.
does the oven dry out the cheese enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean
Because sometimes when you use mozzarella in that case, the mozzarella doesn't melt
Melt
enough,
all the
and
way,
you end
yeah.
up taking the whole bite of mozzarella off your pizza.
Correct.
Yeah.
And no, that's true. That's very the cheese is very important. But again, to me, I think burrata and mozzarella both have a place. And I think then burrata is, like you said, a hot item on restaurants menu and everywhere. It used to be more expensive than mozzarella. And last time I bought some at Met Market, it was cheaper than mozzarella. And again, there's also, just like feta, you have to read the label to know where it's coming from. Because there is Wisconsin, there is Italy, there is different kinds.
There's Ferndale, Washington.
There's Ferndale, Washington.
That's where we're
which is-
buying our mozzarella
which is
now
where
and
I
have
bought
been. Yeah.
the last one.
If
You have
if you see it out there, where you see the Ferndale mozzarella, it comes in a log. Maybe it's a pound, but it's probably more like half a pound log. But typically in that same area, you might see their smoked mozzarella.
that's the one I
that's
buy.
on the string, and it's really good. I think.
Very, very delicious.
Yeah.
It goes.
But you
talking
would
about,
never guess it's from Ferndale, Washington.
right.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been to Ferndale. What was I going to say? Oh, the burrata. Yeah. So interestingly enough, it was less expensive. It has become less expensive than mozzarella, which is telling you a telltale that it's selling, and it's not as expensive. So
I don't know why it wouldn't be, honestly. So
and one thing though, I was going to say, burrata with peaches. Right now we have peaches in season. A dash of vinegar onto your salad. Mix the two together. Fresh herbs. We have anise isop, things like this. Julienne into that salad. You'd have a wonderful salad on your hand, and makes a great dessert if you sprinkle it with honey. Boom! You got a wonderful dessert.
I
on
think
your hand.
that's the place for burrata. Simply done.
Yeah.
Seasonal in the summer, because you don't want to cook with it. It's going to fall apart.
Correct.
And so it's just when you want a delicate dairy touch.
Yeah.
And right now.
yeah,
And
and I would really focus on the burrata and not on putting it on a beet salad or on even on
Right.
just focus on the cheese and then maybe garnishing with fresh peaches or
Yeah.
the honey or the black pepper, extra virgin olive oil. Those
Mhm.
things all go beautiful with it. A good saba or
Saba,
balsamic
Saba and
vinegar.
burrata is
But
magic.
as simple as extra virgin olive oil, salt, and pepper.
Yeah.
It's
But
very.
you still
very-
have to have a delicious crusty chunk of country bread to go with it.
That you need.
yes.
You
Yeah.
can't have you can't have cheese without bread anyway. That's against the law.
Is it really?
Oh.
Is that something you can get
It
Where I
should
come
be.
from.
prosecuted for in
Oh
France?
yeah, you for many years.
When I've seen you eat a cheese plate, you have the bread and then it's slathered with butter.
That
and
is correct.
Then you put the
I'm
cheese
from-
on
I'm
top.
from a place in France where dairy does not scare us.
Yeah.
We use it because we make it. No, butter on bread with cheese is definitely not against the law.
And it's delicious.
When we come back, we are going to really jump right into some summertime recipes that you can make. We were inspired by the heat spell last week to do some things that aren't 100% dependent on the kitchen stove, right? So,
Yep.
so you can use it for a bit, maybe in the morning or the afternoon, but then when it comes to dinner at the height of the heat of the day, you're into cold food. On Cairo Radio, it's Tom and Terry in the kitchen at the Hot Stove Society Show 97.3 FM.
Awesome.
I didn't put it in the segment, but lead in, but it was food for August from Food and Wine magazine.
It's 42 degrees in my hometown in France.
What's that, 105?
Oh, a bit more than that, yeah.
Is it?
in,
What's 100?
in Brittany? 90. Sorry.
38? 39?
Yeah, somewhere like that.
Hi.
Hello, who's that little thing?
Hello. He's just taking it all in. Like, what are these people? What is this? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Janet, look who's here.
Little Cooper. I can't wait till you can be on the
You
show.
looked right at Pam when she said Cooper.
Hello, Cooper. You get such beautiful round blue eyes. Look at you.
He's stunning. Wave to Janet.
8 months.
Oh my God! Congratulations!
Thanks.
He came out
It
perfect.
is wild.
Another couple of months, it'll be bigger than Annie.
I mean, whenever she holds them, I'm like, oh my, it's gonna fall over. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Where are they off to?
Looks like a party.
Just one more party I wasn't invited to. Let's make some summertime entrees right here at the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo Radio. My name is Tom Douglas.
My name is Terry Roturo, the chef in a hat.
And Pamela, our producer, has been busy as she oft is, coming up with ideas for the show and using some of her favorite resources, which this time was Food and Wine Magazine. Tell me about this article and why it inspired you.
They had a beautiful segment on perfect recipes for August that got you out of the kitchen. As you said, utilize the grill or had ingredients you could prep earlier in the day. So in the coolness of the day, so you could enjoy it at night. And it started with cold spaghetti with crab and caviar. And I was in. And
Wait, say that again. Cold spaghetti
yes,
with crab and caviar.
yes. And of course, some Dijon
Yes.
and tangerine segments.
You know, it sounds without the caviar and without whatever, but the cold pasta salad sounds like something my mom used to make when I was a kid.
I've never had
What didn't
spaghetti.
your mom
cold.
But
make?
she did not make spaghetti. She made those like the tube.
Bucatini,
Kind of like
penne.
Yeah, penne, more
Penne.
like smaller than penne. But anyway, she used to make those, and Dijon mustard was the dressing. And it was
Yes.
Dijon mustard and salt, pepper, chopped shallots, and then pasta. And then that was the pasta salad that we'd take if we go on a picnic or whatever. She would often make that because it's very simple. And then my mom loves making a whole batch of pasta. I think every mom does that. Big giant batch of pasta to make sure there is some leftover for tomorrow. Like if pasta was better the next
So
day.
good to go back into the refrigerator the next day.
So this one in Food and Wine is inspired by Chef Isaac Toups, who comes from Louisiana, where it's boggy hot in the summertime. It has a sweet tart segments of juicy tangerine and uses just a teaspoon of Dijon mustard to create a creamy, balanced dressing. Thai chili brings some heat, and mint and basil. I mean, what a good combination.
Isn't that
is. Yeah.
wonderful?
So basically, you're just mixing together a little vinaigrette, a mustardy vinaigrette until it's creamy. Then you add the cold cooked pasta. And when you're cooking spaghetti that you want to save for later and serve cold, you have to dress it with just a touch of olive oil.
Yes.
So that it doesn't all stick
Glob
together and
up
get
in the
gross.
refrigerator.
And then you just put the tangerine and the crab meat in there, toss it up with your fresh herbs right before you serve it. You don't want the herbs in there until you're going to put it
At
on the
end,
platter.
yeah.
And then just put that whole thing up. And a lot of times when people plate things like this, they forget to make sure that you put all the noodles down and then dress the top of your pile with the crab and the tangerine, right? So that you got the beautiful
So everybody does.
bits and pieces
yeah.
on top. And yeah, instead of covering it all with spaghetti, cold spaghetti.
Correct.
So that's one, Pam. What was the next one that you
Well,
loved?
the prettiest one, the lead of the article, is doing grilled goat cheese and corn relish in the corn husk on the barbecue, which it's just so fetching because it's the vegetable mix in with the goat cheese and then charring your husk to make a boat for the filling. I'm putting it on the barbecue so the husk gets all crispy and the cheese gets all melty with the corn and vegetables. It was definitely the prettiest one
Right.
in the article. I
That
thought
that makes kind of sense. I'm wondering how well that's going to hold with the husk and.
Well, on the husk, if you have a green corn, I mean, you can always use, I guess, the dried Mexican husk that you find in Mexican markets.
the recipes
but-
want you to start with the fresh
Yeah,
husk
but you
on
just
the
take
corn.
a paring knife and at the bottom where the stem is on the corn, where the cob comes out,
Right.
just take a sharp paring knife and cut all the way around till you get into the corn at the bottom.
Okay.
And that when you then go to release the husk,
Correct.
it comes off as a whole piece rather than tearing.
Get it?
And then you work the silk off of the corn after they're all off.
Right.
But-
What I was wondering is to bake in to do that corn salad or corn.
Well, it's
and
just like a
corn and goat
tamale.
cheese.
You just tie it up like a tamale.
I guess yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
And it would cook well. Yeah, that's
and
cool.
then you put a hard. They don't have to cook long.
Right.
You just put a hard. You leave your dampers open on your grill so you get a nice hot fire,
Sure.
and put a hard sear so you're basically charring the husk.
Correct.
It's just part of what the flavor profile is.
Right.
Yeah.
Take some fire management, which always terrifies me because you wanted to do your husk first, but then I think the recipe said let the coals die down for when you're warming it when you
Well,
put the goat cheese filling in.
yeah, and honestly, I don't think personally my shortcut would be not to do the husk first. You take the
Yeah.
husk, you get them off, you make your
Stuffing.
stuffing, you put it all together, tie it up like a tamale,
Yeah, that seems like
and
that
put
would
a
work.
hard sear on that unit.
Yeah.
And then move them to the indirect side and let the oven roast them till they're hot all the way through. So,
Sounds like a good technique too. I think that's a good technique.
well, if you're going to try and sear the husk, I understand what they're trying to do, which is give you that flavor.
Yeah.
But if you just do it low and slow after you give it a char, you'll get the same flavor permeate.
I'm going to do it the Tom way.
I also think it's easier to stuff your corn and tie it up than once it's not cooked versus once it's dry.
And then the one that got my eye was the roasted curry tomato pie.
I know. This has got a lot of flavor elements.
And it seems like a perfect summertime kind of vegetarian entree or a side for like a pork chop or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly. A good
So
a good pork chop next to that. So basically it's like a pie or tart, and then the stuffing is very simple: onion, salt, pepper, red peppers,
tamarind.
tamarind. Yeah,
tamarind onions. That's what I think elevates it. The tamarind onion.
and tamarind root. You just shave that into that. It would be delicious. And also using the sweet tamarind.
You're thinking turmeric root.
Oh, turmeric. Sorry,
It's
pardon.
got turmeric in the crust and
Right, in the
tamarind in the,
crust, sorry.
onions.
I was gonna say fresh turmeric in that crust
Yeah.
would really, really be fantastic. So, I think
Well, for two reasons, right? Number one, you end up with this beautiful kind of yellow crust
yeah,
with your red tomatoes on top.
I know the
yeah.
big, beautiful color. This is where you could drop in some corn too, because it's summertime. I think corn goes everywhere. Just fresh raw corn. Just drop it with your tomato and bake the whole thing together. That'd be delicious.
By the way, chef, speaking of corn and everywhere, I looked up my recipe for the corn and blueberry salad and I do give it a quick blanch.
Oh.
This is
FYI.
where I changed.
15 seconds. That's all
This
you
is
need.
where I changed the recipe.
It was tumbling around in his head,
when
and he
you-
went back to
yeah,
check the recipe.
when
So
you-
on a tomato pie like that, let's go back to our recipe. So we've got a nice turmeric crust,
Uh-huh.
and we decided pâte brisée style crust, not like a
Yes,
puff pastry crust,
correct.
right?
Puff pastry would not hold.
Then you've got the layer of the tamarind onions, which is tamarind is sour and onions are sweet, and so
Correct.
when you cook those down, you end up with that delicious combination, sweet sour. And then you put your fresh sliced tomatoes on top,
Mhm.
and then you bake it as a whole. And that's something that can be done in the morning, and by that evening, it
Yeah.
should be perfectly fine.
Yeah, just leave it on the counter. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, a little cheesecloth
Don't
over
put it in
top.
the fridge.
Don't put it in the fridge.
Do not.
Yeah.
So don't bake it 5 days before and keep it on the counter. But yeah, no, I mean, if you bake it in the morning and you have a great lunch.
What kind
afternoon,
of salad? If you're going vegan this whole way on this thing, so what kind of salad would you
Oh
want?
my
with that?
God, there's so much beautiful lettuce in my backyard.
Just lettuce, I think, don't you think? Because you've got
Lettuce.
onions and tomatoes and
lettuce,
yeah.
lemon, olive oil dressing. Something that's got brightness.
little
to it.
chev, maybe.
No cheese. I
No?
think I would keep it.
That's
to,
right. We're going vegan.
I would keep it to lemon, olive oil dressing, some zest of lemon, some fresh herbs. Just pick some tarragon, some basil. Cut all this into small pieces. Put that into your salad. That would be a nice garnish to your pie, because the pie has spice and
It's spicy.
Yeah,
It's got
it's
a lot
spicy.
going on.
It's got chili peppers and it's got serrano. So
Mhm.
it's got a little kick to it. So because of that, That salad would be very refreshing next to it. And if you don't want the lemon in the dressing, just simple extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper on your lettuce. When the lettuce come from the garden or from the market, this time of year, it's the most beautiful thing in the world.
Doesn't need much.
And the way we do it at our house, we get the lettuce, we bring it home, we clean the lettuce, and we keep it in a bag with paper towel. The leaves, after they've been dried, spin dry, but not dry completely. Still plenty of moisture in it. Keep it in the bag, put it in the vegetable drawer. Keeps for 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah. Delicious way to preserve your nice leafy green. Okay, there's some summertime entrees for you. Thanks to Food and Wine Magazine. It's going to be a fun month.
Definitely August is a good month. Coming up next.
I'm looking.
Food for thought.
Show sheet. There it is.
We're so excited for Tasty Trivia.
Coming up next, it's time for Food for Thought. Tasty Trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Blends, made by me at my very own building out in Ballard, where Serious Pie Ballard is. By the way, Serious Pie Totem Lake opened yesterday.
Woo!
Yep.
Congratulations.
Good news.
We hope to see some of you out there. If you're our East Side friends that don't come downtown, then come join us over at Totem Lake, the village at Totem Lake. It's a little bit like U Village out there right now.
Yeah, it's
It's
busy.
really changed. Yeah.
Busy.
Lots of fun things to do. It's like a big food court. It's all there is restaurants there. Perk up your summertime recipes by adding spice rubs to dips and marinades. And make sure you finish off your barbecue meats with one of our favorite sauces, like the ancho molasses barbecue sauce. Thank you to Becky Guzack today for this special Julia Child edition of Trivia. Rub with Love can be found all across the country, like at Central Market in Texas, Lenardi's in the Bay Area, or Zupan's in Portland. Also, small retailers like Tony's Delicatessen in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, or Johnson's Home and Garden in Maple Valley.
We never exited from 3 and re-come into Chester Trivia for 5. We went directly into doing this, talking about the Rub with Love. Did you notice that?
I didn't.
Sean, can you attest to that?
Yes.
We never exited 3.
We did.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, you were.
So, Sean Dottori, looks like we're going to go back and tape a second here coming out of hour 2, segment 3 into Rub with Love Tasty Trivia. And then you can use what I just said as the opening for Rub with Love. Up next, it's time to play Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Okay, now, Sean Dottori, I'm going to jump right back into that segment after the Johnson's Home and Garden in Maple Valley. Pamela, do you want to tell us who is going to win today? Who they're going to play for? What they're
Who's
going to
win?
How do
You
you play
already
the
know.
game? All those things.
I can't because I usually fix the quiz, as you know. But since Becky Guzack wrote the questions today, I think
Oh.
all 3 of you have an equal chance.
Wow,
Between
you
Bridget,
fixed the
Terry.
quiz? I did not know that.
It's news, breaking news,
It
right
is
here
breaking news.
on Cairo Radio.
So you always
But-
give me the hardest ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today is the Bon Appetit version in honor of the legendary Julia Child. August 15th has become an unofficial holiday for the food obsessed as it marks the birth of this fabulous, influential woman. She lived to the age of 91. And as we said earlier, if she were alive today, she'd be 110.
Wow.
What a profound impact she had on
I
all
know.
of us. So Becky did some research about things that were important to Julia. And let's start with you, Terry. Each
Go
of the
ahead.
contestants gets 5 questions. Number 1, Julia Child inspired millions to get in the kitchen and appreciate the pleasures of making and eating good food. Which of these statements is also true? A, throughout the filming of her show Baking with Julia from 1996 to 1999, she used 753 pounds of butter.
Yes, true.
B, she was a spy during World War II and helped develop shark repellent. C, she was a Costco fan.
All three are right.
Exactly. All of the above. Julia was spotted on more than one occasion enjoying a hot dog under the umbrellas at the Santa Barbara Costco.
Oh my God.
This is a funny one. How many eyes does an octopus have?
Well, they have 8 arms, and if they agree with the concept, and they go, I.
I'm gonna go with 2.
2 is correct. It also has 6 arms, 2 legs, 9 brains, and 3 hearts. Did Julia love octopus? Don't know. Number 3, Slivovitz is a brandy produced by many European countries dating back to the 15th century when Europeans began domestic cultivation of fruit trees. Which fruit is Slivovitz distilled from? Multiple choice.
Don't tell them the choices. He should know this.
Apricot, plum, jackfruit.
Slivovitz.
Slivovitz.
How do you spell it?
Slivovitz. Slivovitz.
Okay, I've never even heard of it, but I'm gonna guess apricot.
Plum.
It is plum. The name Slivovitz
Just because I
comes
love
from
apricot, because I
Sliv, the Slavic root word for plum.
Okay.
Number 4, for the 4th consecutive year, mushrooms have been named a top food trend. The New York Times named mushrooms ingredients of the year, an essential food for the plant-based movement. Which country is the largest exporter of mushrooms? Do you want the multiple choice?
Yes, I do.
China, Canada, or Poland?
Poland.
It is, in fact, Poland. Correct. Number
Even in
5.
Seattle, you can find chanterelle from Poland at some time.
That's
I know
great.
that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Number 5. Do you have a memory or story of our beloved Julia Child?
Oh, yes, I do, but I don't know. Yeah.
4 seconds.
Yeah, we did a dinner once at Rovers with Julia, and the next day we had a tasting at Chateau Saint Michel, and in honor of her and everything. And I got to Chateau Saint Michel after I was busy, so I got there a little bit later, and Julia was there in the middle of that party, and she had a glass of wine in her hand, and I said, "Hey, Julia," and she said, "Oh, fantastic dinner last night, blah blah blah." And I said, "How's your wine?" She goes, "Actually, it's not quite that good." And I was like, "Oh my God." And of course, there was a couple of people, maybe not too far, that heard that. And I was like, come with me. So we went to the bar. Chateau Saint Michel has a bar kind of situation. And I told the gentleman, this lady? He said, yes. I said, give me one of each of the wine you have to try. And she was so in heaven after that. She was like, oh my God, this is so delicious. So I don't know what they gave her to start, but she was not happy with
Thank
it.
you
And then
for
she was
correcting
very
me.
happy. That was a very famous moment because you had to be there, but it was very,
You
very
corrected
Julia.
it.
It was very Julia-like.
She said the truth.
She
That's why we
said the
loved
truth.
her. Hi, Bridget.
Hi.
Bridget Charters, one of the instructors here, has been asked to join.
Thank you so much.
True or false? Julia Child was a terrible cook well into her 30s.
True.
Absolutely. She did not have a natural talent for cooking, and she was a self-admitted disaster until she started taking classes at Le Cordon Bleu. Number 2, what is the largest crab in the world? Do you want the multiple choice?
King crab.
Japanese spiders
Oh,
are
Tom,
the
did
largest
you know that?
crustacean on
course I did.
Earth.
You did not.
Number 3, what is the most common botanical used in making gin?
Juniper.
Exactly, juniper berries. Number 4,
Was gin Julia's
country-
favorite cocktail?
she loved it. The opposite end of the mushroom question, which country is the largest importer of mushrooms? Do you want the multiple choice?
Please. I think I know
France,
the answer.
United States, or Vietnam? Importer.
Importer. United States.
Exactly. And finally, do you have a fond memory of Julia?
I do. I gave the commencement speech for the students at the California Culinary Academy when I graduated.
Of course you
And
did.
she was up on stage. She popped up on stage because she happened to be in town and came up to, we were all lined up and she came up to say hello. And I'm tall and I looked up to her.
Yes.
And it was like, and my mouth dropped open and she kind of smiled. And I said, I shook her hand and I said, wow, you're tall. And
And
she
a friendship
started,
was formed.
she giggled and she goes, whoa, I have my Ferragamos on it. She kicked her heel up and showed me she had the low Ferragamo heel. It was great.
Didn't make any
Wonderful
difference.
memory.
No.
And finally, Tom, who
So
was?
how many
So,
did
by the
you
way,
get?
4 and 4
4
together.
and
So
4,
Oh,
okay.
you got to do
tied.
5, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm still disappointed that you say you fixed this contest. Like, that's news to me.
Number 1, who was the actor on Saturday Night Live that played Julia
Oh.
Child in the 1978 skit The French Chef?
He was tall too.
Mm-hmm.
And Aykroyd.
Exactly. Good memory. What is
That's a
the
lot of wine ago.
what is the weight of the world's largest halibut caught on a fishing rod? Would you like the multiple choice?
No, I'm going to say 400 pounds.
That is the closest. Yes. The options were 240, 540, and 880, and 540 is the correct. Should we
Good
give
job.
it to him, Chef?
Yes, yes, yes.
Give him half a point.
No.
Oh,
Give him the whole point. He didn't even want to have the 3 options. That's real chivalry there.
Which popular distilled beverage contains the least amount of alcohol? I'm going to give you the multiple choice.
Water.
Jägermeister, Pastille, Malibu coconut rum.
Pasties.
No.
Malibu coconut rum.
Oh, no.
What?
Pastis-
Yes.
Pastis is 45. Very high.
Oysters can significantly improve water quality and clarify with their filtering systems. They are often referred to as one of the best ecosystem engineers of marine wildlife. Wow. Approximately how many gallons of water can one adult oyster filter per day? You want the multiple choice?
I do.
10 gallons, 25 gallons, or 50 gallons?
25 gallons.
It's 50 gallons.
Wow.
That was in the paper, right?
I just know that
Probably.
last
Just on
weekend,
Sunday,
I
I think.
often spend my weekends at Seatown shucking oysters on the sidewalk in front of Seatown. And last weekend was 82 dozen. And,
Ooh.
Wow.
That was
and they
filter
spit a lot of
alone.
water at you when you open them up.
See, this is one.
And-
This could be a great solution to put up the Snohomish River.
Put
Just-
oysters.
Just put a bunch of oysters to filter the water.
You have to finish with a memory of Julia.
Yep.
Well, I have a ton, but my favorite was her at dinner with Paul, her husband Paul. I happened to watch the movie the other night,
Oh.
Julia and Julia,
Yeah.
and but I happened to Stanley Tucci was playing Paul, and it reminded me of sitting with Julia at dinner, and Paul fell asleep and started snoring at the table, and Julia just looked around and read the table, and she said, "Let's not wake him." And she took his plate and ate his whole dinner along with her own. So
Good for
let's
her.
not wake him.
Bon
Was this at
appetit.
Dahlia?
If you want to be part of the show here at the Hot Stove Society show, you can go to hotstovesociety.com and buy a ticket, or you can go to Tom Douglas & Co. and buy a ticket to join us in the studio. Let's do that again. If you want to be part of the show, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or buy a ticket to join us in the studio at hotstovesociety.com. You're listening to us on Cairo. The show is produced by Pam Hinckley, Sean McFadden, and Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre. And remember, if you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening and have a fabulous weekend.
Fabulous weekend. Have a fabulous weekend. And thanks for listening
You
and
won't
have a
believe this.
fabulous
You
weekend.
won't believe this. I did some taping of messages for the airport yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Oh.
Nice.
Where are they going to use them? For Cairo? Or?